is a 1996 Cadillac Fleetwood Limousine, and I'm going to show you guys why the quirks and features of this car make it one of the funnest Cadillacs ever made. So one of the most incredible things about this car, first of all, is just its size. I mean, just the Fleetwood was already a huge car on its own, but now with that stretch, I mean, it's just absolutely gigantic. I mean, it almost seems like it takes like 20 minutes to walk from side to side of the car, but it's just incredibly large, and I just love how that looks on this car. It's great. Now, one of the first exterior quirks that just about everyone notices about this car is just that there's like chrome everywhere. I mean, there's chrome that surrounds just everything, including the headlights, the wheel wells, and all the windows. And they just added chrome to the bottom half of the car, basically, bottom third of it maybe, and it surrounds the entire thing, which is just an incredible amount of chrome that really makes the car stand out and looks like a Cadillac. Now, one of my favorite pieces of chrome on the car is actually this one line that runs from the front fender of the car all the way down to the back fender of the car. It's just an extremely long piece of chrome, and you don't really see anything like that on any cars today. I mean, there's no chrome that just runs in a single continuous line across the length of the car. It's just so funny, but I really like how that makes the car stand out. It's pretty cool. Something a lot of Cadillacs had back in the day, of course, was this hood emblem of the Cadillac logo. And what you might not have known about it is that it actually bends forward, backwards, and around. And the purpose of that is just that if you hit it on something, or if you happen to run into someone, hopefully you wouldn't, but if you happen to run into someone, it won't actually impale someone, or it won't break off if you hit it. So it's actually really smart of Cadillac to do that to their hood ornaments on their cars. Something really funny about these old Cadillacs is that they had actually these bumper guards on the front and on the back of their cars just to protect the bumpers. If someone happens to hit another car, hit a pole or something, it's supposed to be there to protect the bumper. And I guess that's kind of how Cadillac geared this car towards older people. So when they hit stuff, they just don't damage their car as much. It's pretty funny. Now, something really unique about these old Fleetwoods that a lot of people don't ever notice is actually, if you look at the front end of the grille, like the tip of it, you notice that it's actually sloping forwards, not backwards like normal cars would. It's actually sloping a little bit forwards. And I think that makes it look just so cool, and it's a little attention to detail that Cadillac had back in the day that is kind of unique, and it was really made the car stand out if you noticed it. It's really cool. Looking at the front of the car again, you can see that it says Cadillac at the front, just so you know. Just if you couldn't tell from the emblem that you're driving a Cadillac, everyone will see that and say, oh, that's a Cadillac. So a really awesome quirk of these Fleetwoods was that they actually had these indicators for the headlights, high beams, and turn signals with a fiber optic cable that would run to this little indicator on both sides of the car, and they'd be able to tell if your headlight is working or not. It's very similar to what's in the back of the car, but this is for the headlights in the front. And I really love how this looks at nighttime. It just looks so cool. I really would love it if Cadillac brought these back someday, but there's just a really cool feature of these old Cadillacs that we had for decades. It was a really neat feature. Another neat little quirk in the front of the car here is actually dealing with the turn signal. As you can see, Cadillac actually put their emblem on the signal there where it lights up, the light bulb, and then you can see it glow up at nighttime. It's actually a really cool little attention to detail on Cadillac's part that I really like. Here's what that shot looks like at nighttime. Now, looking under the hood of the Fleetwood, you'll find the LT1 engine. And this is a very popular engine, and it was actually put in the Corvette for a long time, in the C4 Corvettes. And Cadillac was able to use it during the 90s for these Fleetwood sedans and limousines. It produces about 260 horsepower and 330 pound-feet of torque, and it actually provides plenty of power for this limousine. It does get up and go when it needs to, and it's been very reliable. It's a great engine. Now I'll give you guys a quick chance to hear what the Fleetwood limousine sounds like. Continuing to look under the hood again, you can see that actually Superior and Cadillac added some more fans and different things to make the engine cooler, because it's such a big car and the new would be running a lot, it'd be standing still, and it'd take a lot more power for the engine to actually haul this big car. So they had to add different things to make the engine stay cool under its hard work. Another funny little attention to detail that Cadillac did is they actually stamped their name on the bottom of the hood, so if you have your hood up, people can see your car and say, oh, that's a Cadillac. Now, some of you may be wondering why Cadillac added this vinyl top to their cars when it was built, or Superior actually. Well, actually, of course, it looks kind of nicer for the day, really makes the car stand out. But the real reason behind it is that it actually hides the stretch marks in the roof where they would have cut the car. So it actually makes it easier to tell that, hey, this is a limousine, but you can't tell this from cut marks in the roof. So it's actually very smart, and it makes the car look nice, which I really like. Now, as you can see, it says Superior on the vinyl top there, and that's the company that, of course, stretched this car. But normally there would be a Cadillac logo there on the vinyl top, but Superior put their logo there just so people could see what it was. And if you want to learn more about Superior, please check out my Cadillac Fleetwood Limited video, and that kind of has a little section where I talk about the history of the company and how they build their cars. Now, one of the coolest quirks about this car is actually with the fuel cap. You got to wonder, where do you put the fuel into the car when you fill it up? Obviously, there's nothing on this side or on the other side of the car, so you got to wonder, where is it? Well, it's actually kind of above the bumper protectors here, underneath the license plate, and I think that's just so cool. Cadillac used to do that for a long time, but I guess with rear collisions, it was probably had a risk of catching fire and who knows what other problems in crash testing, so they got rid of it. But I think that's just such a cool quirk, that a hidden gas cap there, which Cadillac had just for so long, and I think it's just so cool. I love it. Now, a really funny option for these Cadillac Fleetwoods back in the day is you could actually order them with a trailer hitch. You could actually have a trailer hitch in the bottom. You could pull trailers with them. I mean, I think it's pretty funny that you could actually get a Cadillac ordered from factory with a trailer hitch, and you could just pull around trailers with it. Now, taking a look at the back of the car again, you'll actually notice something strange about the rear Cadillac emblem, is that it's actually hiding a keyhole there for the trunk. See, it locks in place like so, and then you just take your key and unlock it. It's very neat attention to detail on Cadillac's part to have a hidden keyhole. Now, another quirk of this limousine is that it's actually very tall compared to other sedans, and that could be because of the suspension and the tires, wheels, whatever. But just to kind of show you guys what I mean, take a look at my other car here, the Cadillac Fleetwood Limited. Might be hard to tell on camera, but it's a good bit, comparing the trunk, it's a good 3 or 4 inches taller than this car, and it really makes a difference when you just even step in the car. It feels like you're almost getting into a crossover or a small truck or something, but it's really a tall vehicle. Just looking at these cars side by side, it's just kind of funny how Fleetwood is so different from normal sedans. Now, looking at the key fob for the Fleetwood, you can see that's a little plastic fob, and it has its old good square and round keys, which I love. The nice gold-plated keys, I think, are just nice to feel, and they feel real nice. But obviously you can see it says Cadillac on the bottom of this fob here, and they have this lock, unlock, trunk, and I believe that turns on the interior lights for you at nighttime. But they had some pretty cool key fobs back then. They were pretty simple, but they worked quite well to lock the car and unlock. So obviously, you're probably going to be driving this car a lot, where the driver sits, and you're presented immediately with this little sticker here that says "Body by Superior Coaches," which kind of shows that Superior built this car and stretched it. But sitting in this car, it is just so comfortable. The seats are obviously just extremely soft. No matter where you touch, it's just incredibly soft and comfortable to sit in. But you obviously have some seat controls here. There's only one button on the seat here. It's actually just to lean the seat forward and backwards, but yeah, the rest of the seat controls in the door, which is just kind of cool. But if this was a Brougham Fleetwood, it would have had heated seats and lumbar and memory seats as well, which this car does not have. It's not a Brougham, but it still has really nice features, and it's extremely comfortable. And what I absolutely love about these old Fleetwoods is that they actually had a lot of attention to detail on them. I mean, I think the door panels are beautiful. It has real leather on the sides here. It's obviously stitched at the top, which is so nice. And it has a real metal door handle and really cool old style looking buttons and stuff like that. And really, I like how they feel because they're actual metal. Even down here, they're real metal. They just feel fantastic and just solid, and I just love how they feel. And I haven't felt any other buttons like them, and this is just so nice on these cars. Now, taking a closer look at the pull handle on these doors, when you grab it, you might be able to see it on camera, I hope, is that there's actually a strip of leather on the back. It's actually very soft. So when you pull it, you actually feel that leather, and it just feels real nice to pull the door back with this handle. It's very nice. Nice attention to detail on Cadillac's part. Now, taking a close look at the dashboard of this Fleetwood, you'll see that it's really kind of old style. You can definitely tell it's aged, and it's still a nice looking car, still nice looking interior, but it is aged. I mean, just looking at the gauge cluster, all that wood and all those boxes and stuff, it definitely looks older than some of the Cadillacs that were made back in this time, but hey, it still works very well. Definitely old style, but I like it a lot. Now, something I've always loved about Cadillacs is certainly their horns. It's just the best feature of those cars, and they really made them stand out. And you could tell when you hear it that this is a Cadillac. Here, I'll show you guys what this one sounds like. Pretty cool. Now, something you may have noticed actually over here is unique to this limousine. You've actually have rear climate controls here, which actually takes place of one of the air vents like this that would have been for the driver. So the driver really only gets one air vent now because of this climate control here, but it actually has just heating and cooled. You can change it to low, medium, or high, and they had to kind of find room for it, so I can see why they did that, but it's actually really nice to use. I do like how it feels, and it works quite well. And taking another look at the dashboard here, you can kind of tell there isn't much you can do with it. You can't really change it like the Fleetwood Limited can if you've seen that video. It's a lot more different stuff you can do with the screen, but in this you can only change it to metric or just reset your tripometer. Those are only two buttons you've got up there, and that's the only way you can change this dashboard, which is so funny, but I guess Cadillac liked to keep it simple back then. Now, these Cadillacs had huge center armrests back in the day, and of course that means they had lots of storage on the inside. When you open it up, as you can see, you got a lot of space, but the funny thing is you actually have these cup holders here, which flip up and down, and they kind of fold back into place there when you're not in use. But as you can see, there are actually a lot of different holders there for CDs and cassette tapes, but unfortunately, as you can see, this car does not have a CD player, so I guess you can still carry on CDs if you had them, but you just couldn't play them. Now, something you all may have been looking for while watching the video is actually a trunk release. As you can see, it's actually not visible right now. You can't see it on the dashboard. Well, what Cadillac did for many years is they actually put it in the glove compartment. As you can see, there it says trunk. It's a yellow button. And they did that for a long time, and all you got to do is just press it, and there you go. You got your trunk. Another funny little quirk in the glove box is that you actually do have traction control here, and they actually had a sticker there to point it out to you because it's so hard to see, but there's obviously, as you can see, there's a switch there, and you just have to push it over to turn off traction control or push it back to put it back on. Now, funny little interior quirk actually has to deal with the lights. As you can see, there are obviously lights here, reading lights for the driver and passenger side as well, but they actually have two more lights up here too, and it's actually on the mirrors, believe it or not. There are actually little buttons here on each side to turn on or off those lights, and this is such a funny location for them to add lights just on the mirrors, but hey, that's some neat little feature about the Cadillacs back in the day. Now, a really funny quirk about this car, as you can tell, it's nighttime right now. You'd think that the automatic headlights would be on right now, and normally they should be, but the funny thing about this car, who knows what it was, if there was just a mistake from the factory, but the headlights actually don't come on until you put it into drive, like so, and then the headlights turn on, but then when you put it back into park, they stay on. I was told that when this car was new, it has been doing that, and apparently it wasn't supposed to. It's kind of a funny little quirk about this car that's a little strange. Now, one other quirk I've seen up here is actually with the dashboard. I don't know if it's easy to see on camera, but it's just incredibly long. I mean, you can't even reach your arm all the way forward there. I've actually measured it out, and it's about 2 feet long, and it just seems so much longer than any other car I've seen. I don't know why Cadillac did that, just with this maybe angle of the windshield. They just had to make a very long dashboard that goes all the way forward. It's just incredible how big it is and how much space there is. Now, taking a look at the Fleetwood owner's manual, it's actually very nice quality. It's soft and it has a lot of leather on it, and it even says Cadillac with their emblem embroidered, and it says they're creating a higher standard logo on it, and I think that's pretty cool that they had that there. But the owner's manual looks pretty dated, but I mean, it's cool. It's pretty large, explains everything about the car you'd ever want to know. And it's really nice, but I like the holder and how nice it feels. It's just really good for quality, and it's a good attention to detail on Cadillac's part. Now, one of the quirks about the owner's manual of the Fleetwood is that it actually has a little section called the penalty of leadership, and it actually just kind of explains how it's kind of difficult to be a leader. I guess it's different, but it actually kind of goes into Cadillac's history here and explains the different cars that they built and the different things that really brought them forward to be a leader in the luxury car industry. And it's really neat, the kind of history they have just in a manual. I've never seen anything like it before, and I find it just really cool. I like it a lot. A really nice feature of a lot of these Cadillacs is that they had Twilight Sentinel. what it is it actually keeps your headlights on when you turn off the car at nighttime for a certain amount of period. So you can choose to have it off if you'd like, but you can turn on delay or max to have the lights on for a long time when you turn off the car and you can see. Now moving into the middle of the car, this is where they did the stretch. It's about 3 feet and 8 inches what they did, and it actually gives you a lot of leg room. I'd say it's even better leg room than you get in the third row seat, but obviously it's very comfortable, and they didn't really slack off on materials back here either. They still have the nice leather here and the wood trim and the nice pull handle that I like. And they also have, of course, ashtrays in the middle row and the back seat as well, so if you wanted to smoke, you can do that, and that's how they used to do it back in the day. But it's a very comfortable place to sit, and I really have lots of room here. But my one complaint is I don't really have headrests here. My head can't really rest on anything, but it's still very comfortable for what it is. Another really nice attention to detail on Cadillac's part here is that they actually embroidered the Cadillac wreath in the seats here. They did it, of course, as you can see in the back seat as well, but it's really nice. You can tell it's the Cadillac just from that seat embroidering there. So if you own this limousine, obviously you'd want to be chauffeured around in the back. That's where you want to be. And I'm still very comfortable back here. It has all the nice materials I'd still want. I have plenty of space, maybe not as much as the second row, but it's still very nice. But you also get to kind of lean your head back on a headrest. It's very comfortable. And you kind of get everything you need. You have still ashtray. These windows do move up and down. The second row actually does not, just because the windows are so big. It's actually not good for the motors, so they didn't add that on this limousine. But you have, of course, grab handles, lights, even a little clothes hanger here, and all the buttons you need. An armrest, of course, which is actually nice. Good feature to have. And it's just a very comfortable place to be while you're being chauffeured in the back of your Fleetwood limousine. So obviously, as you can tell from that spot, it's a really interesting place to sit because you can see really how long the car is from inside. It's just a weird and surreal experience that I think is really cool in this car. Now this box in the back is actually a very, very cool quirk of these old Cadillacs. As you can see, there are red lights in there that are glowing right now and they're flashing. What those are is actually indicating that your taillights are working. I have the flashes going right now, and that blink tells me, or the driver looking in the mirror, that those lights are working right now and they're not burned out. It's a really cool feature of Cadillacs, and I think it's just something that they should bring back. Very, very cool. Now taking a look behind the third row seats here is where you'll find your rear AC and heat controls, as well as your defroster there. But it's really cool that they added this for the limousine. You kind of need it, but these little guys actually twist and they turn, so you can actually adjust them however you'd like. If you're a backseat passenger, you can move those around if you need more heat or air in the back, and it helps to cool down or heat up the car. So looking at the trunk, as you can see, there's still a good amount of space, but they actually had to put this little wall here, and it actually blocked off more space, and they did that because of the rear AC and heating system. They had all that stuff to add back there, so they had to take up trunk room for that, which is understandable. But you also do have a full-size tire sitting here, which does take up a lot of space, but I mean, you still have enough room for probably several different suitcases and everything you need, so it's still very roomy and looks like a Cadillac trunk for the day. Now, something that's very cool about these Fleetwoods is that the license plate actually locks when you hit the lock button on the key fob, since someone can't get into your license plate and maybe siphon your fuel from the car. That's just a really cool feature. And if you take a look in the back of the trunk, there's actually a lever there, and that's what you can actually do to pull it manually to lock it. But when you hit the key, it locks it, or it unlocks it, and then you can use it again. One of the nice little features of these Cadillacs back in the day is that they actually had a trunk pull-down system, so you don't have to slam the trunk. What it does is just kind of grabs the trunk and pulls it down the rest of the way. And a funny little quirk about the trunk is that they actually have this sticker that says to not slam the trunk because it's equipped with the electric trunk pull-down. So I'm driving the 1996 Fleetwood Limousine, and it's really amazing how easy this is to drive, especially once you get used to it. We've had this car for years, and I've driven it on many road trips to Virginia and on different scouting adventures me and my family have gone on. And it's really, really easy to drive. Sometimes just after a while of driving, you kind of forget that it's a limousine. It feels just like a normal car. And honestly, you can tell it's longer, but it handles so easily and so well that you don't notice it being so long and hard to drive. It's really a joy to drive, and it's a perfect car just to have, you know, for any big trip, and you have plenty of room for everything, and it's so much fun just to be riding in a limousine. There's just nothing like it, and it's especially when it's a Cadillac. This is just a very, very nice car to ride in, and it's just a very enjoyable car.
Thank you all so much for watching my video. I appreciate the support and feedback that I receive on my videos, so be sure to leave a comment and come back again soon to check out some of my other car reviews. Thank you.